Has a teacher ever accused your child of doing something that you know he could not have done? 1. Not our child but my youngest brother. His 4th grade teacher didn't like him. She said he was too independent and argued too much, which might well have been true. However, when she accused him of stealing from her purse the first day after Christmas break, she went way over the line. He wasn't in school that day because he had a dental appointment in the morning and a doctor's appointment that afternoon. The silly woman didn't even check to see if he was there that day. My mother got a call about 4:00 saying my brother was suspended for stealing from his teacher's purse during the lunch hour that day. My mother had a temper that got very cold and very reasonable when she was in a fury. She got an appointment the next day to meet with the principal and the teacher. She went in and listened to the accusation and the teacher swearing she saw him leaving the classroom during the lunch break putting something in his pocket. Then my mother pulled out verification that he had not been in school and had in fact at the time she accused him of stealing had been sitting in the waiting room of his doctor's office. He got moved to another teacher's class instantly. 2. I was the child in this scenario. At 11 years old, I was taken to the deputy principal's office and reprimanded for allegedly dislocating a fellow classmate's shoulder. My mother refused to believe him and asked to speak to the parents of the injured girl. Apparently, a few of my classmates had gotten into a physical altercation and accidentally injured their friend. As I did karate at a reasonably high level for my age, they decided to blame me instead. This was all revealed when one of the witnesses was called into the office, broke down in tears, confessed that she had injured her friend and that she blamed me as she was afraid of getting into trouble. I should mention this was after the father of the injured girl contacted my karate instructor and told him I was a psychotic bully who should be expelled. Fortunately, my instructor was highly skeptical of his statement. 3. Yes, I was in 4th grade, in Catholic school. I was sick when I came home from school one day, fever, stomach hurt like the devil. Next morning no better, so my mom called Ray's school from a neighbor's home to say I'd not be there. So off to the doctor with me and a high fever. It was appendicitis. Within 2 hours I was in surgery. My teacher, a nun, called the neighbor to leave a message telling my mom that I played hooky from school that day. My mother was livid, called the convent and let her have it with both barrels. Apparently the teacher decided she didn't believe I was sick. 4. Yep. Accused my daughter of faking a life-threatening illness, tried to have her declared truant and then accused her of fighting with a classmate. The only problem is she was hospitalized and in the PICU at the time of this fight and the school had all her records. Unluckily for that teacher, we personally knew most of the school board. Some of them had even visited our daughter in her hospital room before she was moved to the PICU and we were able to ask for an in-person meeting with them, the principal and that teacher. That teacher's contract was not renewed for the next year. Turns out she had targeted 3 other kids along with our daughter because they corrected her on some random issue. She couldn't handle her authority being questioned. 5. Yes, my son was no angel. He got into his share of trouble and then some. But he never lied. He always said he had done what he had done. The boy was full of it, but he was not mean to anyone. I was called in because my son was accused of writing a note say a teacher was a Fu King customer. For the first time my boy said I didn't do this. Looking me square in the eye. I asked to see the note. The principal, who was enjoying all this drama entirely too much, handed me the note. I asked my son to write his name. My boy is left-handed and his writing slants the opposite direction of whoever wrote the note. I held both notes in front of the principal's face, then dropped the notes and exited without saying a word. 6. My daughter's teacher accused her of plagiarism. When I spoke to the teacher, she said, "Number 7-year-old can write this well." I explained she started reading at 3, and that I had been teaching her how to write. "Are you a professional teacher?" "No, ma'am, I'm a professional writer. My daughter is a 4.0 student throughout school, college and her master's program. She can write me under the table." 7. I was that child. For some reason, a classmate claimed that I had bit him and even had a bite mark to prove it. The specifics were, according to him, that I thought he had something of mine in his hand. I think it was a shirt as we got changed for PE, and, to get it back, I had bitten that hand. He showed the teacher the set of tooth marks on the both side of the skin between his thumb and index finger. The teacher was angry at me, called me no better than a wild animal and was ready to put me into detention for a week. I asked if I could demonstrate how I could not have done it and got my classmate to talk me through what he said I had done. He looked gleeful and started. He said he had his shirt in his hand, so I confirmed that he was holding tightly and I made a fist. He agreed that was the case. He then said I grabbed his wrist and bit his hand, showing the marks. I took my fist and tried to bite in a similar way. I could simulate biting the back of the hand but couldn't get to where he had been bitten. I then said to the teacher that I can't do it as a fist but could, opening my hand, do it with my fingers spread out. I finally pointed out that there were too many tooth marks. His hand had 6 marks but I had recently lost one of my upper canines, so there should only be 5 marks. The teacher grudgingly agreed and, without apologizing to me, turned his anger on my classmate. I never found out why he felt it was necessary to bite himself enough to draw blood and blame me for it. I'm just grateful he did it in an area that didn't match his story.